of other states participating. Venues include the Eagle Square in Abuja, Lausa Park by Secretariat in Lagos, Rosewood Filling Station, Rural Ibadan, among others. The Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Otigun, has ordered his men to decisively deal with arsonists and troublemakers during the End Bad Governance protest starting today, August 1. Otigun warned that the police would arrest anyone caught perpetrating crime during the nationwide protest. He also accused organizers of the protest of failing to furnish the police with the details of the protest, including the names of attending participants, routes of rallies, among others. Discuss the upcoming protests and the implications of these protests on the Nigerian people and the government is Chief Dr. Hussein Showumi, a renowned author of several books. He's fondly known by the name Oracle. Good morning, Chief Showumi, and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Chief Showumi, we look at this upcoming protest. What do you think about the protest? What's your take on the whole scenario since it started weeks ago, and what's your take generally?
I'm sorry, your question is not clear. It's echoing.
Is it better now?
Yeah. Yes,
So I
can hear you.
Please, Emmanuel, there is someone else who logged into this room behind you. The person should either disconnect his audio or leave the room, take away his laptop or his phone from there.
Is this still echoing?
Yeah, a little better now. But I just want to hear the question I'm asked to respond to.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes, now.
Okay. So I was asking your take on the upcoming protest. What do you think of the whole situation so far? Of the ongoing protests. The protests have started in some states of the federation. What's your take on the protest? Is there a valid reason for this protest?
Good morning, everybody. And thank you for having me on your program again. Protest is part of democracy. Let us get this right. Any society that believes in democracy, they have to give room for people to be able to air their view. It's part of their rights to tell the government if the government is not doing the right thing, or if the government activity is affecting the lifestyle of human beings, of all the society. So they have to go back to the drawing board to correct whatever they are doing. Sometimes you campaign on a policy and you get there, it's not workable. And when people don't like what you're doing, you've seen that in other countries. I think somewhere in Kenya or something, the government went back and did certain things to correct what was in their budget or whatever they were doing that was not in the same way with what the people wanted. Now, economy of Nigeria took a downturn with the removal of the subsidy. And the activities of the government so far has not been able to get to the grassroots to be able to affect or increase the lifestyle of all the citizens. So it means whatever you were buying for $2 or 2 naira before, you're buying it for 10 naira or 20 naira. But the wages and salaries of the workers are not in line with how the inflation, the hyperinflation is going on. So people cannot pay their rents regularly. We've seen a situation where people move out of the houses to live in their buses or live with their family. People cannot afford rents anymore. It's very easy to say it is wrong to protest or it's going to affect so many people unless you are in the position where you can't pay your rent, you can't feed your family, where you don't have any hope of where to turn to. Some people commit suicide. Some people decide to leave the city and go back to the village. Some students or some children stop going to school because parents cannot afford it. So you can't watch your lifestyle going down and not thinking of doing something. So one of the ways you can do that in the society is through the protest. So government should not be afraid to allow people to air their views. What should be encouraged is that when we're doing it, we don't create a situation where we have to destroy our little gains of the past. If we destroy our infrastructure because we are mad, who will use it the next day? If you like the last time they did the ENSA, about 300 buses were burnt down in Lagos. How you can imagine what 300 buses amount can be if you have to replace those. So you need to be cautious, even when you protest, that you don't destroy the gains of the past. So that's the way I look at it. And then we encourage people to be peaceful. When I was young, I used to be part of all this. I enjoyed it. In my own time, we chased Governor Bisi Onabanjo out of his office when we were fighting for the bursary. Took over, we did all those things. You know what he did to us later on? All the amount they used to replace all the things we destroyed, he took it away from the bursary. Instead of getting 500, we got 350. Of course, we got something, and that was the end of bursary in Ogun State in that very time. So we have to be cautious that in attempt to seek redress on how to do things, we don't destroy what will primarily be of major benefits to the society, like all the roads, infrastructures, all the people who have tried as much as possible to put on their little stuff. When you when the hooligans take over, they destroy all the stuff. Some of people may never recover. Some people may just be there for them. And you can discover most of these things, most of these stores are not insured. It's not that when you have a small store in Nigeria, you have insurance to cover it, that anything happens, they will replace all those things for you. And the government doesn't have a program by which if people protest and resort to problems and destroy a lot of things, they will give you back some money. So we have to be very, very cautious in an attempt to seek redress that we don't destroy any of that thing. That's my take for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Well said, I must say. While you were speaking, great Imo Jonathan, one of our guests, joined us. Good morning, Mr. Imo, and welcome to the program.
Good morning. Sorry for the late entry. We've been trying to have some, issues of technicalities. Been trying to ratify. My pleasure to be here. Good morning to viewers and to those who may watch this later for the good of Nigeria.
Can you please adjust the camera to landscape mode?
Come again?
Adjust the camera, put it in a landscape position.
Okay. All right.
Chief Shomi, I want to quickly ask you, yes, recently we've seen there's been a lot of voices of counter-protests, protesters protesting against the protests, and these voices have been very loud. The whole of southern Nigeria, some group of persons came out to denounce the protests. This is members of the Niger Delta Declaration came and stated their non-participation. We look at these protests. Are we still having a nationwide protest, or these protests have been hijacked by some government elements? Do you still see these protests being as successful and as strong as it would have been?
It's normal. You don't protest against a government program and expect people who are in support of the government to just sit down and be looking at you. You see, in America here, we have organizations where people pay to protest. If you need to protest, you don't need to look for a crowd. They have people on their waiting list. So they do it for you. So people from Niger Delta, they have a reason that may not be in the same way, like the way people want to protest all over. Let us assume that people who want to protest now, they now decide to attack the oil pipes because and then that is the primary focus of the Niger Delta. Because you can get to that. So some people, when they start their protest, they don't know where to stop. The destruction may go beyond just people carrying placards. Hooligans, criminals can take over, can hijack it. They will raid all the stores. So there will always be some people who, a group of people, still also part of democracy for some people to go against whatever other people are going in terms of protest. It can never be 100% support from the whole society. It's never done in any part of the world. So it's normal. We don't expect Niger Delta or people from Ibadan or Kaduna or some areas to say, okay, whatever you say in Lagos or in Abuja is what we are going to do all over the country. No. When Trump became president in 2016, a lot of protests went on in some states. Even in Washington, D.C., some were protesting to support. Some were protesting to go against it. So we cannot say because, well, everybody is buying from the same market. The people say the extent by which we all look at things is different. What is the primary interest of Niger Delta in the protest? Will it favor them? Will it not? If it doesn't favor you, you will not support it. So people are also working for the government to counter it. Don't forget when Buhari was president, or when Jonathan was president, everybody, they have their own group to give them the muscle by which they can restate their goodwill on the society. But if we are thinking that we will have a situation where we have 100% support for any action for or against the government, it's never done in any part of the world. Since 1789 or whatever, during the French Revolution or American War of Independence, people have always been for and against. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. Grace, Imo, Jonathan, what do you think of the upcoming protest? What's your assessment of the protest? Do you see it being successful, or do you think it's been sabotaged by some government elements and whatnot?
Actually, the understanding of have already succeeded. Because actually the government of Nigeria, the government of Alhaji Muhammad Tinubu, made it a success. Because in an effort to stifle the voice, they created a lot of noise about it. It garnered international attention. And the purpose of protest is actually to call the government or institution through some issues. And now, during this period where government was trying to suppress it, it garnered a lot of talks. Now, both on international media platforms, online, I've seen Nigerian protests being discussed and the issues in question being discussed. And I think it's not that President Tinubu didn't know or doesn't like protests, but one thing is Tinubu is someone who has a lot of ego. So he perceived that the protest was going to be kind of dent on his government. It was not that the protest was supposed to be violent from Avenue. So they had the propagandists in his government, the likes of who ethnic identity who always evoke the ethnic biases of Nigeria and the friends of religion to advance their politics because they lack intellectual capacity to debate the subject in their attempt to articulate the voice of those who want to protest. They got the attention of the global community about what's happening. And the pretenses that he was doing well are laid bare. Now, the important thing is not for people to on the street and carrying drums, maybe destroying things. No. The purpose of this is to cause the government to pay attention to the issues and the challenges that citizens are facing and the things they will want the government to address. For example, we have been hearing Mr. President address the nation, talking about renewed hope, giving people hope, asking them to endure. Now, at the same time, this for himself, a lot of has built for his vice president a 22 billion naira worth of mansion and is in the process of acquiring 150 billion naira private jet, amongst other humongous personal projects they have for themselves, their cronies, and even the National Assembly. Meaning that what this man was counting, be patient, things, he's going on a frolic and being reckless in the use of the minimum resources available to the nation. Hence, some people were not happy and they needed something maybe to call his attention to this recklessness. You can imagine that as of yesterday, federal government mounted an effort to make sure that 50 kg bag of rice is sold at 40,000 naira. But for over 6 months, cost of food, of items in the market keep going up, they never cared. So it is the fear that the people was going to pour to the street that made begin to make this effort. Hence, the protest in my own thinking is already a success because at least they'll be able to get the attention to remember that this area keep living in reckless, being spent trips and going to primitive acquisition of resources while the people are languishing in poverty, in starvation. Over 20 million young Nigerians out of school. You are spending 21 billion to build a house for one person who was not living, but already living in luxury. It was this shame that he was hiding from by trying to stifle the protest and not have known the purpose for the protest. For people don't need to even go on the street because already success.
Solidarity forever. Solidarity. You are always fighting for our rights. There is victory for us. There is victory for us.
Chief, do you think that this is feasible?
Your question, please, because the background noise was too much.
One of the demands is that the 1999 Constitution should...
Muna shataletalen na danturin wada domin ganin yadda dandazon matasa suka fito domin yin wannan zanga-zanga da ake gudanarwa.
I can hear you, but the background of the people showing the video, they need to lower the volume so that we can hear you properly. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes. You're talking about 1979 Constitution.
1999 Constitution.
1999 Constitution, what do you say about it?
Some members, some agitators protesting, they are saying that they want the 1999 Constitution to be abolished. Do you think that this is feasible? This is one of their demands, and also that Nigeria should have a unicameral legislature. How feasible do you think this is?
I'm an apostle of what we agreed in 1960, which is regional government. That was what we agreed to form a nation. But all of a sudden, it has been hijacked by people who had a unitary interest. And that was exactly what we have in the 1999 Constitution, in which 90 or almost 70% of the powers with the federal government, which shouldn't be so. To run a country of 371 tribes of ethnic groups in the country with different languages, you need more than one system. You cannot say what is applicable to the North. It should be applicable to people in the South. For example, if somebody in the North wants to marry out his daughter at the age of 12, and if it's 18 in Nigeria, in the South, we can make it and say, okay, the person doing 12 in the North was doing something that was wrong. No. What do they want in that area? And what do you want in the South? What do you want in the East? That was the foundation of how we started Nigeria, so that the East can grow the way they want, and the West can grow, and the North can grow. But when you mix everything together, that you now want to use the same standard, the same constitution for everybody, then you have a problem. That's why we have this conflict. So 1999 Constitution is a failed system already. Let's just call it a military constitution given to us by Abdul Salam to control the interest of what was usurped in 1966 through the pen of Aguiyi-Ironsi by abolishing the regional system of government. So the 1999 Constitution is not strong enough to meet with the challenges we have in a country of 371 tribes and ethnic groups or nations of people. So until we go back to the drawing board and sit down and put up a structure that that structure can only work when what is actually called a template called true federalism. We all know this true federalism means every part of Nigeria will have the laws that will accommodate their interests and growth. If we have that, there will be no problem that nobody will even want to go to Abuja. All will be interested is in developing your state. Let us assume that the regional government has been cancelled. We are now 36 states. How do we run regional government or regional idea of governance under the 36 government? And a perfect example here is America here. The Texas, every state, they have their own constitution. They have their own court up to Supreme Court in every state. So it is only when the problem cannot be solved in the state. So you cannot force what is applicable in Texas. You cannot use it in New York. We should have that in Nigeria. What I want or we want in Ogun State with our own values. I want my son to greet me by prostrating and say, good morning, sir. That is my custom. That is my own idea. That's what we do in our own people. But when you go to the east or to the north, they will stretch their hand to you and say, good morning. You won't feel offended. When you come to the south or to the west or to Ogun State, you have to do exactly the way you do, otherwise you leave the state. But we cannot put everything together and now see the young ones now calling the elders in the west or in Abeokuta and just say, good morning, sir. You're stretching your hand. That to me will be something sign of being rude. So, and that's what we have in our constitution. If we have a way by we can departmentalize the constitution in such a way that every society will have their own take from it, then we have peace. So 1999 constitution is not meeting the expectations of Nigerians. And that's why we keep seeing problems. And you can break it down to the level of controlling your resources. Regional government or state constitution will make you control your own resources and your own people, and including state and city police. We are talking about state police also. It's also part of it. Look at how long we've been talking about this state police. When Tinubu was the governor, we did a paper for him on it. He was championing it, and you expect him as president to be the first thing to put his signature on quickly. But when each time they all acquire this power, they forget the fundamentals of how they got there or what they were struggling for. We are here now talking about this president is this, everybody is that. But you can imagine maybe 70% of us, once you get to Abuja, you become a different person. You're no longer thinking of why you were struggling to get there anymore. So President Tinubu shouldn't even have wasted 6 months on the approval and change of the constitution towards state and city police. He was championing it as a governor in Lagos. All the things he was championing, you see, the president himself needs to go back to the mandate given to him when he ran for this office. He ran on the promise to everybody that he was going to do true federalism. But so far, I don't think, the only thing that looked like an achievement to me is just that Supreme Court judgment on the local government, that the resources must get to the grassroots. Apart from that, he's still behaving like Obasanjo's presidency. You patch everything here and there thinking it will work. But by the time you leave office, the next administration will just throw all your achievements away. And that's what is going to happen. What Obasanjo did, instead of giving us state and city police, he established an EFCC. He did everything. But when, what is his name? Yaradua got there, all the governors that were supposed to be prosecuted after their terms of office expired and they had no immunity, Yaradua let every one of them to go. But if you put a structure in place that makes it difficult for criminals to escape, people who are demonstrating, they can see how much a senator is earning. Somebody did a calculation. Somebody who is in Federal House of Representatives is taking almost 200 million naira a year. How can we now say 70,000 or 80,000 or 100,000 is too much in a situation with hyperinflation? So our people at the National Assembly, they are not living up to the expectations. You cannot tell people, the last speaker was talking about how we spent 15 billion to restructure the house of the vice president and aircraft for the president and every one of them. They don't need all those things. What is wrong with the house that the last vice president lived, that this old one now cannot live there? Why can't he just stay in his house in Abuja there and be coming to work? He's not doing much. But why would you spend 15 billion just to refit to you see, we don't even understand governance. That is the problem. Somebody was saying the new prime minister of Britain, when he moved to Downing Street, they didn't change anything. They didn't change the chair. This is a country where people change chair for the House of people in the Congress or in the House. Every 4 years, they have to get new furniture. They have to get new cars. They have to get anything. All these are wastes. It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense. But this is what we do in this country. Until we learn, like I told you before, we need to be able to drag them to court. Has anybody ever taken the president to court in an attempt to buy new aircraft or spending 15 billion to Supreme Court that they should come and justify it? No. Where we just take it like that and complain and then we keep quiet. We can use our legal system to fine-tune our system. But as far as you said about the 1999 Constitution, it's not good enough for the future of this country. It needs to be thrown overboard. They should just close their eyes, look at the Atlantic Ocean, and throw that constitution into it, and get us a new one. But the 1999 constitution is purely the interest of Abdul Salam to protect the unitary system of government. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief Shomi. Mr. Jonathan, great Jonathan Dimore, the protesters, the Omoyele Sowore group, they have listed 10 non-negotiable demands. One, scrap the 1991 Constitution and replace it with a people-made constitution for the Federal Republic of Nigeria through a sovereign national conference immediately followed by a national referendum. Second demand on that negotiable demand is to toss the Senate arm of the government and legislative system, keep the House of Representatives, and make lawmaking a part-time endeavor. The third one is to pay Nigerian workers a minimum wage of nothing less than 250,000, and then invest heavily in education and give Nigerian students grants, not loans. We look at all of these things. There's been some concern from the government angle that it's being hijacked by certain enemies of the state who want to overthrow President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government. Initially, we thought this protest was about ending hunger, cutting cost of governance. Do you think, like they have rightfully said, the government have said that it's being hijacked? Is it being hijacked, Chief Jonathan, Mr. Jonathan?
Well, I nobody is hijacking anything. I've told you that all we know is that ABC that some of us have come to know and associate is just full of propaganda, and twist, blackmail, gaslighting as a means to deflect attention, to divert attention, and to avoid the critical issues facing Nigeria. Nobody is hiding anything. In any case, the subjects, the important things here are the issues raised. Number one, what is difficult about, for example, pulling down the legislature in Nigeria? It was done in Senegal just a few years ago, about 2 or 3 years ago, because the cost of governance is the biggest crisis in Nigeria. Every year, close to 72 to 75% of our annual budget goes on recurring expenditure, not capital projects. What are those current expenditures? When you look at the budget, you see cost for computers, cost for stationaries, cost for buying SUVs, fueling of cars, allowances for for traveling, for training. All the training that doesn't make any difference in Nigeria, they spend a huge amount of money. Then you go to National Assembly, this year alone, their so-called constituency project is almost 2 trillion in this year. 2 trillion. This bunch of years and nails people in the National Assembly who have not been able to discuss intellectually about the Nigerian situation are the ones who are spending all these monies on. What use are to Nigeria? To just prone down, to have a Cameroon legislature in government, to turn the 1999 constitution, like my other colleagues said, we knew that Tinubu was one of those who led the restructuring of Nigeria for the reform of the 99 constitution. He used the political engagement to garner attention for Nigeria to support the rights. Why is it difficult? To start with, the World Federation. You can't have a federation where you have a unitary system. The subnationals and the colonial units, according to a federation, there's a policy, should be allowed to develop. Areas of competitive advantages where you utilize what is in your environment to develop, and you access which is used to make up. In every federative union, in every federation, the important thing is one, the currency, military, the army, the defense of the nation, and that is the central bank governing the currency. The defense government defending the entire terrain, one other or two other ingredients. The rest is divided to national. That is where people are residing. Now, whenever they arrive at the center, they begin money at the center, which is the reason for madness, the killing, the bloodbath during presidential election. And because we don't have just one, because they still have the same primitive acquisition, because their entire purpose of going to power is to enjoy the loot, right? To develop their people. You know, there was a day I was talking about when you read 100 you begin to understand the intellectual of those who are governing China. 100 Years Marathon is not a book, it is a laid down master plan. What is, development. You read about those who made America. You read about Lincoln from Third World to First World. You read about Israel's the enterprise nation. You understand that in this country, beginning with leadership, we lack intellectuals who think about the nation and the future of the nation. Instead of, because of what he's stealing today or getting today, he's afraid of making an adjustment that will favor the children coming behind him. Meanwhile, he will not be in this forever. A government who has only 8 years to spend because of the loot and the corruption is engrossed in, he has not in the future that if we allow this restructuring to take place, it is in the benefit and the interest of our own children. Today, we are trying to bury the former Senate president, and his children are begging the federal government of Nigeria to help them bring their father's dead body. Sometimes they were in power, and they were also enjoying this thing, forgetting their future. Today, why don't we think? Why can't our leaders sit down and reason? None of this demand is a difficult thing to do. If students are asking for grant, it's normal because these people are giving themselves humongous pay, not spending on children and the future who would develop Nigeria. It is actually a shame.
Thank you very much, Mr. Imo Jonathan. Of course, we've been talking about the ongoing nationwide protest to end hunger in Nigeria, to end bad governance in Nigeria. What's the situation report in your area? If you want to contribute, all you have to do is simply raise your hand, turn on your microphone and your camera, and the floor will be open to you. Mr. Chisholmi, back to you.
Yeah, I'd like to respond. Okay, your question, please. Your question, please.
Did I cut you short?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay. President Tinubu has been trying to, we've seen him make efforts to cut the cost of governance in Nigeria. He has implemented the 2014 conferred by emerging party plans departments into one.
Shataletalen na dantun wada domin ganin yadda dandazon matasa suka fito domin yin wannan zanga-zanga.
The House of Representatives, members of the House of Representatives have also slashed their salaries by half. What other key areas of this President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration do you think they can cut governance? How would you propose they cut the cost of governance?
Now, before responding to what you just asked me, I'd like to make one or two comments on what the last speaker said, and to buttress his point with what I saw in China when I was there about a few years ago. They are already building houses for the people who will live in China in 25 years to come. The government is they are already building where people who will be in the city of Beijing in the next 25 years will live. The government is already building it. so that when you grow old, you get to 18 years of age or 21, you are not going to be saddled with the problem of looking for houses. It's already done. So our government should not wait until when people start protesting before they know what is right. That's one of our problems. Do you need to wait until people are on the street before you know that you have to cut your salaries? Immediately you start earning something that is more than 5-10 times of minimum wage, then you know it's not normal. The day you start buying foreign cars, instead of patronizing our local production. You see, when I was in Nigeria, I was the publicity secretary for Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. And I'm telling you, one of the problems we had, and they are still having today, is energy, electricity. Without electricity, we would be back to all these things because there won't be production. And when there is no production, you cannot export. And when you cannot export, you cannot bring down or increase the value of Naira, and the economy will not grow. Most nations will always grow on export. At one time, for China's economy to grow, they have to sustain their 1.3 billion people. They had to make sure that the economy was growing at 9.2%. And what did they do? They went all out to see where they can push their product to keep their factory busy. Otherwise, they will be having the kind of problem we have in Nigeria today. So China went out to do everything to destroy anybody's economy in the way they could do. They've got into Abeokuta. They took our adire and started producing it in China and bringing it to sell in Nigeria. You know what happened? All the local production, they are folding down. So we need a situation where our government will patronize what we have at home. The National Assembly should never buy their vehicles outside Nigeria. We should learn to eat Nigerian food, Nigerian dress, everything learn to. By the time you do it, you conserve your money. Then you become stronger. And then you now get to a level now you now want to export everything that we should be exporting, all those things. Nigeria should be exporting cars. We should be exporting everything that we are bringing in. Why? We have the population. 230 million population is not a small market. It's not an economy where people should be hungry. It's an opportunity that our government needs to look into. So the president is not trying enough. The National Assembly, they are not doing anything, cutting their salary into half. Which salary they are cutting? If you cut 200 to 100 million, you still have not solved the problem. You understand? In the country where people earn, Sowore was asking for the first attempt of Showore's coming out. He was asking for 100,000. It looks like he was talking nonsense at that time. But today, I think we all realize that he was asking for 100,000 naira minimum wage when he first came out to say he wanted to run for office. But today, I think he has moved it to 250. And how much is even 250 when you look at what is going on in the country? So our government, they need to go back to the drawing board. They need people-oriented policy, not people just sitting down at the National Assembly passing law that they don't even know. We don't have security for the farmers to be in the farm anyway. If the farmers don't have security to be in the farm, how will they plant our local food? Unless we want us to all to be eating the food from the north, which is not what we eat in the south. 80% of what we eat, like gari or whatever that we eat in the south, is not the same thing like they eat in the north. So we are depriving ourselves of what we can do because of insecurity. That is why the government needs to go back and give us the state and city police. We need it. Without the security, the farmers cannot farm. And we don't farm, we don't have enough food. So cutting salary is not the solution, or just opening borders for food. Even the more you open the border, the more you are destroying the economy. It means we are going to make us depend on the international community. And from the look of things, from what I heard, we don't even have, for example, now, they said that before Buhari left office, Nigeria was producing less than 1 million barrels of oil a day. He said it has been increased to 1.6 now. Do you know the capacity of Nigerian crude oil? It's 5 million barrels a day. That's what we can produce, 5 million barrels a day. That is what God has given us. But stupidly, in 1971, Gowon mistakenly went and joined OPEC. OPEC now pegged us under 3 million. That you can't produce 3 million, otherwise the market will mess up. We didn't go there to negotiate with our population that, look, I have 100 million people to feed. I can't peg our oil to 2.7 or 2 point something. You can't put us on the same level with Saudi Arabia with less than 30 million population, or Egypt or whatever. So Egypt is going to give 2 point something, because no, we are coming with a population of almost 200 million. So we should be allowed to produce at least 4 million barrels a day to be able to meet with the requirement, what we need in the country. The problem is we are growing in population, but the way we are generating money to run the economy. Okay, let's even break it down this way. After we joined the OPEC, out of the 5 million, the OPEC said you could produce only 2.7 million. Do you know what happened to the 2.3 million they were producing it behind? They were stealing it. After they got greedy, those who were stealing the 2.5 balance went into the 2.7 approved for Nigeria government until they reduced it to less than 1 million before Buhari left office. So that we are not producing that 5 million barrels. Don't let them fool you. They are producing it, but the people at the rate at which they are stealing it, they're sharing it among them. So that's why they fight so hard to become president, because they know you want to join the cartel. So once you join the cartel, you just find out the person who was fighting them no longer will no longer be their enemy. The way by the first 2 months of Tinubu, he was attacking the people stealing the oil from the Delta. You will find the plane shooting them, attacking them. Now today you don't hear anything anymore. Ask what happened to those sheep that were arrested, and the owners of those sheep. What happened to them? Where are they today? Because they've taken care of everybody. Everybody has been taken care of. What is that man still doing there? The MD of the group MD of NNPC, who has been there from all the corruption going on, and his man is still there. He has not been removed. You see, cutting the salary is not the solution. We need to understand whether we want to run Nigeria as a country for our people to grow. We are not. Those who are representing us in Abuja or whatever, they are not sincere. Once they get in there, they just got plugged into the existing corruption. And then let's just give them little things, maybe they will be happy. So they take their eyes off what is going on here.
Yes, I want to ask you, we've seen videos of Nigerians in diaspora, UK, and some other parts of the world joining the protest and all of that. You are in diaspora, you're a Nigerian in diaspora. Do you think that how do you think diaspora protests will affect governance in Nigeria? Do you see these as a very effective method?
We can only share ideas of what we see here. Or you invest your money, use the opportunity to bring home investors to Nigeria. But you need an enabling environment. I'll give you an example. In Ogun State, we had what was called the Drum Festival. You remember there was a drum festival in Ogun State a few years ago. I was involved. We were trying to bring the city of Texas or city of New York and Dallas to participate in the event. That would have been a very big one today. But there is no we don't have continuity in government. But as soon as Governor Amosu left, the next administration that they just put it aside. You see, until you have continuity in governance, and we have, when we say we have 25 years development plan, and we are plugging into it, whether you are PDP or APC, you just plug into that development program, we will grow. But once you get a governor comes into in Ogun State now or in any state now, all the activities of the past leaders gone. And I also heard there is what is called a place somewhere in Cross River State for tourism that was very popular when Duke was governor there.
Yeah,
today it's like they close it down because there's no continuity. So everybody in diaspora that is thinking of putting something to help, you want to know where your money will go. I lost a lot of money with Drum Festival because when Amosu left, we didn't get to where we were supposed to go to that level, and everything went down like that. So they have to understand people became or came, they moved overseas for so many things from Nigeria. Some people didn't think they had opportunity of growing in Nigeria. That's why they left. But because of the love they have for Nigeria, they still thinking of what to do. So we can offer advice, offer solutions. When we criticize the government, you tell them, you don't just criticize, but you offer better solutions. And talk to people who are in government. Maybe they can listen. Find a way of realign with them in such a way that they can see. Maybe we can table some things before the National Assembly for discussion to appeal to them. But I'm afraid those people who are there, they are bent on seeing you more like, if it was that good, why did you leave? Why don't you come and stay here and see what we do here? You are not part of us. So we just argue, we tell them we're right, you do a lot of things. Some of them will laugh at you. Some of them will just put it aside. But don't tell me that people who are there in most of them in National Assembly, they've lived in America before, in Britain before. Most of them. You think they don't see that place they have 24 hours electricity? Or they don't see they have water, everything flowing? They know. They know how their airport works. But once they land in Nigeria or they get to Abuja, it's like they are taken over by evil spirits. How would you live in a country where you cannot think of letting light be for your people or water? Every day you see people suffering, you drive your car, you want to go and buy overseas car, and then you see some Nigerians producing cars. You don't want to pass a law. Before China became a great nation, they closed the door to any outside investments. They started buying made in their own country's product. So they don't need to waste their money. But every year, the National Assembly will spend a lot of money to equip, to buy computers, to do everything. You know what's going to do? They're going to put that money outside the nation. And what can the people in diaspora do? When the government at home itself is not ready to change. And you can't take over the government. You can only write, you can only influence, you can only talk. But unfortunately, people there at the top, they have a stone ear. They don't listen. They don't even read newspapers. I'm surprised some of them are taking 1.3 million naira every year for a newspaper. I don't think any of them open a page of it. And yet they got money for it. Why don't you ask them for the receipt of the newspaper that they say they are getting the allowance to buy? Nobody's asking them. Who is the Auditor General? Who is auditing the expenses of these people? That somebody is making 200 million, being paid 600,000 every month for his wardrobe. Who changes his clothes every month with 600,000? It's the National Assembly. Go and see how much they're spending on wardrobe. To go and debate in a country with 90%, 90 degrees Fahrenheit, heat. How much do you want to spend? You need something very light to wear to go to work. But they all put on the agbada with everything on their neck there. And then you wonder, are these people normal? Is this okay? And it's not. Look at the budget of National Assembly and see what they are wasting. They don't know what they are doing there. They don't. And they don't have it. They draw the attention of people to this strike, to this what do you call it, demonstrations. They are doing it everywhere now. If they had, like they said in the French Revolution, the Bourbons, they said they have learned nothing and forgot nothing. These people forgot how we all suffered to get the military out. Some of us left the country because of the soldiers, because of the military. Some of them became people we call in diaspora today because of the way we were fighting for democracy. But immediately people got there, they forgot that this is what they went through before they became, before the soldiers left. They started spending money, they changing cars every year, they buying houses as if they're going to live in 2 houses. Some of them will now, by the time they will leave the National Assembly, somebody who was not worth up to 1 million or 2 million before he got there, he's already a billionaire. So you make it possible for everybody to think, why don't I be in politics so that I too can make money out of it? Because you watch them. Some of them are not smarter than you in school. You know them, but when you got there, you can see what they are making. So politics has now become a place where you make money, not hard work. When you say you are a rich man in any country, they should be able to see your investment in terms of manufacturing, industries, everything you can think of. But this is a nation where people are rich by not having anything to show for it. You can't even see any of them who must have employed more than their drivers and security guards. You should be able to have at least 200, 500. Let's assume all those National Assembly, about 500 of them, they're hiring up to 1,000 people in manufacturing industry. You can imagine what Nigeria will look like. But they don't. They just, everybody go there still, they go, but the next person will go, they do that, and you don't even know what the purpose of governance is not there in their brain. Sometimes you wonder why they are running for office. It is to just go and steal. If that's the purpose, then everything is defeated. If the purpose of getting there is the National Assembly, is the Constitution, that Constitution, like I said, we need to close our eyes, go to the Atlantic Ocean, throw it there and get a new one. It's horrible. It's encouraging people. Everybody, they won't have what they call it, immunity. How can a governor be stealing money? Even if he has immunity, what about the accountant? He's not the one signing the check. Is the accountant also having immunity? If we pass a law to stop the accountant from signing a check that is illegal, that you can sign the check for the governor, but you can go to jail. If we find out that that thing is illegal, the governor will be free, but you that signed the check, the chief accountant or the finance officer that signed it, or the bank that approved the money, that released the money, all of you can go to jail. The immunity will be useless to them. So we need to take it to court. Let's take a package of a case to court to declare that the Constitution, the Supreme Court should say, the governor may have immunity, but the chief accountant that signed that check or the bank that released money for fraud, all of them are guilty. They can go to jail. You see, all this corruption will stop that. We go down immediately. But then,
Chief Show, we've said all that needs to be done about this system. And let me quickly switch over to Mr. Jonathan Imo. Mr. Jonathan, it's been barely 1 year, 2 months into President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. Have Nigerians been impatient with him? We know it's 1 year. So, do you think Nigerians have been impatient with this man's administration?
Well, two things makes it very difficult for Mr. Bola to be asking for the patience of Nigerians. Number one, Bola Tinubu was instrumental to bring disaster called Buhari on Nigerians. He was very instrumental to building APC, and I was actually called the leader of the party, despite the fact that there was a President Buhari. So his association with the party and literal silence for 8 years of Buhari's administration meant consent. In fact, so don't forget that some of the policies of Buhari of Tinubu's idea, I don't know, Nigerians are, we have short memories here. Go and check, go and do your research. There was a time, before the Ways and Means crisis, it was Tinubu who advised Buhari to print more money. And I didn't think their problem was printing money. Printing more naira is part of strategy for economic progress, where a country has a productive sector, where the country is productive. So, like, it was part of the strategy that America used to exit the 1939 depression. The printed currency that lasted for 1 year. There was, when you print currencies, because money is a means for measurement of value, we are supposed to engage in productivity, not for go and loot, but the idea of printing money to Buhari. It was open, it was in the public. And then Buhari's men ended up printing about 30 trillion, went and borrowed dollars, and we housed it in CBN, took the naira they printed and gave it to CBN and stole the dollar and made away with it. And now, all of this were happening. He was part of the party. He was part of those who wrote APC manifesto. He was the leader of the party. He was silent because he knew, based on the agreement with Buhari, was going to be the next in line. Unfortunately, he came to power. Buhari managed to even leave the city going on. But him and his cronies stole the job, pretending to be a holy man, who is not aware. If you ask him anything, he will say, I'm not aware. After so many I'm not aware, why his children and associates were looting, he left the power and left subsidy. And President Bola Tinubu came without economic team and even knowing the nitty-gritty of the Nigerian economy. He went and announced the removal of subsidy. Well, everybody will say that most of them who campaigned actually said they were going to remove subsidy. But nobody talked about the strategy that will remove subsidy. And the problem was that he removed subsidy because if you notice, despite the fact that he removed subsidy, Nigerians were silent. Nigerians were ready to give him a benefit of the doubt. Hence, from the removal of subsidy, he also went ahead to float the currency. These two strategic policies shocked the economy, and Nigerians were quiet. But let me tell you why Nigerians can no longer be silent and patient with this government, because they have seen they are confused, reckless, and corrupt. The amount of volume of what made subsidy from the various taxes, they are using to what? They are consuming it with both hands. They are being reckless, they are being mindless. So why Nigerians are hoping that policies and actions of government will improve on their life? We see these people living in opulence. We see these people digging deep into and caring less about Nigerians. They will begin to act like Nigerians are become slaves, and what they think does not matter. So why should Nigerians be patient with a man who has bought years for them, is buying a aeroplane for himself, building houses for himself, giving his wife billions in the name of First Lady? His daughter is calling herself First Daughter. His son is riding over the city of Abuja, appointing people, deciding how to run Nigeria themselves. Why should the country be patient with such people? After the 8 years of reckless silence, of reckless patience with that Buhari, that disaster that laid the foundation to where we are, and now Tinubu is digging deep doubling down on that stupidity that APC brought upon Nigeria. There are no way any Nigerian will be patient. Patient. Either they want to be seen as control, or they are thinking one they will benefit, or those who are benefiting. All these three classes of Nigerians will be silent at this moment, especially those who have been brainwashed with religion and ethnicity over this crisis in Nigeria. Nigerians can no longer afford to be patient with you because of your recklessness, because of your incompetence, because you are not even trying to move the Nigerians will see and say, yes, I'm going somewhere. You are interested in Coastal Road. You want to spend 16 trillion on Coastal Road because those are houses you have acquired property for yourself and your children. And why the roads already existing in Nigeria are dominated. Now you have given of over 600 billion to that same high tech. You wanted to build a road, to build from Din to Akure. All you are doing is to make sure you and your cronies loot Nigeria. High tech is building that is giving over 700 billion naira contract. What is their history of construction in Nigeria? It's just because they are your friends. You protest Nigeria. The other Dangote was on the first time in Nigeria, fighting government, despite the fact that he has been a beneficiary of government in Nigeria, because they discovered a blending plant in water which this man and his friends and brothers own. While you are saying the remove subsidy, you are spending over 5.6 trillion on the same subsidy, and you are sending it to your cronies in Malta to go and build, high sulfur diesel to give to Nigerians. Why are we going to be patient with this mindless greed and cruelty in the governance? We cannot continue like this. We have to deal with the cost of governance. And like my colleague said, while that is going on, he's sharing with the governors those errors in their state who have become they have become the other enemies of Nigeria. With recklessness going on across Nigeria, EFCC make no move, going after young people with laptop and phones in the name of fighting corruption. Shameless EFCC who can see the past governors without immunity walking around, who are stealing billions and trillions of Nigerians' wealth in their foreign accounts and for their children and other things we don't know for. They can't arrest them. They are cowards. EFCC is a coward. They are cowardly organization, incapable of doing anything. Then talk about judiciary that have been bought, paid for. So Nigerians can no longer afford to be. They can no longer afford to be patient with this criminality in the name of governance. We can no longer afford to be patient with this stupidity. When other countries are building and developing, these people are wasting destinies of our children, wasting people's lives because of their greed. It is nothing to be patient about. Even I'm watching, as we are on this meeting, I can see some of these police officers acting like they are King Kong, dealing with innocent, harmless civilians, but their families are also suffering. It is time to even let them know that they become slaves of the slave masters, and they are being used for the Nigeria to kill and destroy Nigeria. They become the enemy of Nigerian people, because instead of them to do the job, arrest these criminals are using them now to intimidate people. They are privatized police in Nigeria. They privatize DS in Nigeria. They are not trying to privatize Nigerian army by using them to intimidate people. Nigerians cannot afford to be patient in all of this nonsense.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jonathan Imo, for that contribution. Again, I want to ask you, a court in Abuja has restricted protesters to certain areas. They have said they can't use certain squares in Abuja. What role do you think the judiciary can play to uphold protests? Peaceful demonstrations in the country.
Well, the The role of the judiciary in any democracy is already known. But if you look back in recent times, you will see new inaugurated judges are wives of politicians, daughters of politicians, daughters of former judges, like the Chief Justice of the Federation. His daughter already is in the system. So the judiciary has become politicized. Yeah, you see that politicians are the one nominating people to be judges. So Nigerian courts have been hijacked by politicians. They are now being used. And whatever the political class want, that is what the judiciary gives them. So this judiciary that Nigerians are looking up to, even though we still have some few within them, that judiciary is a complete mess. But what things Nigerians should be demanded now, the reform of the judiciary in Nigeria, because this judiciary we have in Nigeria today is a complete mess, is aiding and abetting. This is the judiciary that on same issue in different courts, on same law, different interpretation. This judiciary is a buying and selling judiciary. The judge goes to the highest bidder, and the rest person can go to places. That is why the politicians, their best slogan now is go to court, because they know at the court, they have installed their stooges, they have corrupted there, they have made the judiciary mess. In fact, after EndSARS, the protest that should have been taking place is cleanse the judiciary. The judges in Nigeria, they are living above their means. They almost cannot account for, and they are being subject of the political. The elites are being manipulating them. That's why the judiciary can no longer be relied upon. But let me care. If anything goes out of hand, Nigerians, if they help in destroying this country, even their own children will have no country.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jonathan Imo. Of course, we've been talking about the August 1 nationwide protest to end bad governance in Nigeria, and all of the things that have been coming up. If you want to contribute, any member of the audience that wants to contribute at this point, make a contribution, ask a question. This is the time to come on. All you have to do is turn on your camera and your microphone, and then you speak.
I'd like to say something a little bit about the role of the judiciary, if you permit me.
All right, go on.
The role of judiciary is very important in any society. If one of the things we expect from the judiciary is justice. That's number one, justice. And not only justice, it must be done in a very timely manner. If you take a case to court, you don't adjourn the case indefinitely or to 2 years, 5 years, or 6 years. You want justice. And at the same time, we want a situation where our judges can live within their means. But unfortunately, a corrupt society will be very difficult to produce very good judges, because eventually the judiciary system is out of the corrupt system. So we have to look at how we elect or appoint judges. Most of them were civil servants, and you know that is the area where corruption is very strong in the civil service. They grew up to that one until they became director of public prosecution, and then they now nominate them to become a judge. So it's coming from a very, very tough background. maybe we need to be appointing them now from the private sectors instead of the Ministry of Justice. So when you appoint people from the private sector, they are likely to see things better, different than the people from the Ministry of Justice. And at the same time, we have to let all our judges know that we can always check their assets online. Everybody should have access to what they own in terms of properties. Because you can buy your ways out of Nigerian system. You go to court, you want something even from the court clerk, that's where the corruption starts. The court clerk will need some money before they can get you some paper to fill to complete. So it's a little bit like we say in Yoruba land that you see Amoko, the man with the crooked leg. He said, what you have on your leg is bending. He said, no, look at the leg first. You understand? Everything is from the grassroots. So the judiciary, which is almost the pillar of our democracy, if it is corrupt, we have a problem because we cannot get justice. And if we cannot get justice, we cannot move forward. And if we can't move forward, everybody will join them. And the pool of corruption will be expanding because there will be no consequence for anything that was corrupt. So that is the situation we have in Nigeria. In an attempt to look for a very good constitution that will free us and free the judiciary in such a way that we can get justice anytime we go there. But when the case is adjourned for 2, 4, 5 years, another one joins, another one joins, another one joins. Before you know what happened, everybody will lose interest in the first or second or third cases. Do you know that in some cases, there are some cases against Obasanjo himself in 19 so many years, so many against Jonathan, against Tinubu. What happened to all these cases? You don't see the end of them because other cases had gone on top of them. And before you realize it, we all lose interest. Without justice, our judiciary cannot be strong. And without a very strong judiciary, we cannot have a good democracy. And if you don't have good democracy, the result of it cannot get to the people. And if it doesn't get to the people, this is the beginning of what we are doing today in terms of demonstration. Because the problem is not really from Tinubu alone. Let's get these facts right. Tinubu has just spent 1 year in office. You don't go to school in 1 year and expect to graduate and be earning money and earn salary and start taking care of your parents. You go to school for 18 years, right? You go to university, you go to do your NYC, you come back and look for a job, you start making money, you start raising a family. Some of the things we are expecting from the president cannot be done in 1 year. But it can be done if he too can take some steps to assure the nation that he's capable of doing the job. Number one is the security, so that our farmers can go to work, so they can farm, so that they can get food to the market and people can buy food. They can't get to the farm because the Fulani raiders and every one of them, they're already taken over. Most of the villages in Southwest today, 80% of them, you don't even find the Yorubas there anymore. You can quote me. They've been driven out of the place. And if they have not driven there, people who are already doing the farming there, they are no longer the indigenes of the place. So they can't, you don't have food when you don't have food to the market. So the government need to look into that area. Maybe the idea of making the local government autonomous will help. So the federal government can be able to help the local government to do certain things that has not been done before. That I'm saying we are still in the process of a planning. 1 year is not enough for Tinubu to be a magician. Even if he's planting food, some of the food will not have been grown to the level that you cannot say, okay, we want Gary. Somebody will say, we don't see Gary on the table. Tinubu cannot grow cassava in 1 year and then make Gary and put it in the market. That's the work of your local government or the work of your governor in your state. Certain things are to be done by the governors or the local government chairmen and local government people that we are expecting from the federal government. But because he's the man at the top there, but all he needs to do is to remove all the encumbrances that can stop the development to get to the grassroots. So that if you want to farm, you don't have a problem, or don't be afraid because you could be killed. If you have state and city police, they can come to your help and stop all this noise. If the governor himself is reduced to a level that he doesn't tamper with the local government money or anything, then the local government is accountable to the EFCC, or it can be arrested by the state and city police. Then everybody is accountable. Remove the immunity of the governors so that they too can stay away from the 40 or 50% allocation to the state. Then make it impossible for the governor to order the chief accountant of his state to release illegal money that cannot be accounted, that is not durable, whatever. Let's pass all the laws that we cut off all those areas. Then we can free the society, and then you focus more on electricity and for the country. But even whatever food you buy in the house, you cannot put it, you cannot cook and put it in the house for 2-3 days because there's no electricity to store it in the fridge, to protect your food. So you need electricity as number one. We are producing only 7,000 or 6,000 megawatts. And we did a paper that we need at minimum of 40 to 50,000 megawatts of electricity in Nigeria. And we have not even done 10% of it. So if you are doing less than 10% of it, you can imagine what our manufacturing industries are facing. Thousands of people. I left manufacturing in 1996. I had a factory in Songota. I left the place because of the electricity. People were telling me then, but today I think I did the right decision. Many people left after because of electricity. But this is a country where a bank declares billions in terms of profit, but the government does not have a program to monitor what the banks are doing. In America here, banks build houses. You can't just pay. You have to go to a bank to get a loan to buy your house, to buy warehouses. They are all there, built by banks and insurance companies, so that you don't need to build a factory with your money to start anything. Just go and take already built-in warehouse. You don't even need to spend your money to buy the machines. The company that will lease it to you, they're already there. They will lease it to you. You just plug in all those things. All they want is your expertise, your books, your ideas, that you can do things, your paperwork and everything. Once you have that, the system will support you. We don't have that. You have to first of all go and buy land, bribe them in the ministry, bribe the governor to give you the CFO before you build it, before you feel buying the block, before you see digging the ground, before you build up the factory. By the time you build it, all your working capitals are gone. You understand? And then when you now put the factory there, you now have the workers that they are very poor. 80% of them want to steal. They'll be stealing everything that before you get to the market, you already broke. 6 months after the factory closed down. So these are the areas we need to look into. No matter even if you open the gate and give everybody free rice, free everything, it's not going to last. That's a temporary solution. The permanent solution is to go back to the drawing board. Let us be able to, everybody should be able to farm. Let's go back to our villages. Don't be afraid of people there. They're not going to kill you. Let's go back and farm and put something there. What is stopping you from having a place for to plant a pepper or tomato in your backyard that you have to depend on the North? But the North too want you to depend on them. That's why they are encouraging the Fulani Maoris to be on the farm and stop you from going to your farm. And when you can't farm, you'll be hungry. President Tinubu is not going to open the gate and bring all the rice here. The more he's bringing the rice in, or anything that is bringing, the more it's weakening the value of Naira or the exchange, because we need that. We need to export to be strong. I hope you are understanding me. If we don't export, we can't get out of this problem. What makes a nation great is feeding itself and exporting out. But when you want to export in, you destroy your economy. And that's what China did. China is producing a lot and destroying everybody's economy by bringing their product, by bringing everything. Even when you don't want to take, when you don't want to buy their food or their product, like they just did in Abeokuta, people don't want to buy their product. They just came here and took our product and started producing it and selling it back to us. So the Chinese are selling Adria now. They are selling, they are even making Gari now. Because we don't have enough to take care of ourselves, they will take it and do it because they need to grow at 9.2% with their economy for them to sustain their 1.3 billion population. You see, we have 225 or 230 million population. But what are we doing locally to make sure that we grow, we sustain ourselves internally? Otherwise, we'll be complaining. I've been hearing of these people are hungry for a long time. There are so many songs you can see, like Barista, Colinton, everyone is singing about this problem for a long time because we have not taken this, we have not addressed the solution. You have to buy locally. You have to produce locally. We have to buy all our cars here, send it or whatever, some cars or somebody's car in somewhere in Lagos or North Motor. They are producing it. We don't need to buy any car from outside Nigeria anymore. So that money stays here in our economy. All our food should not be imported. We should be able to grow them. And the only way we can grow is to allow the farmers to go to farm. Get all these Fulani people causing trouble away from the bush. Provide security. Let us have this state and city police immediately. It's the most important thing. If you don't have it, we will be hungry. That's the source of our problem. That's why we are hungry. Because we don't go to farms anymore. Let us have a security for our farmers and help them with mechanized system, not going with the cutlass and something there. That is not enough. The population now, 225 million people cannot be fed by just having hoes and digging the ground. You need a mechanized farming. So all local governments must be given at minimum of 3 or 4 big bulldozers or payloader or whatever they all use there, and do it for them almost at minimum rates by the local government so that they can farm. But once you don't do that, the farmers will be driven away by the Fulanis, and then everybody will be hungry and they will be crying and say, oh, Tinubu should come and give us Gari or rice. It's not his job. It's the job of our local government and our governors. But the job of the government or the federal government is to clear all the encumbrances on the way, like the security, electricity. That's what the presidency should be worrying about. But importing rice is not a solution because you will eat it. What are we going to eat next time? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. You've said all that needs to be said. Local production, agriculture, government supporting farmers from the local level, of course. These are fine words you've said. Of course, I'll come back to that to ask a question.
Okay, Mr. Imai, if I may, I don't know whether I would love to just, before you continue, I would love to just give you a little update on what's going on around the country.
Yes.
We'll come back to you. We'll come back to you, Mr. Great Jonathan and Dr. Showmi. But so far, the reports coming from all over the country shows that the protest is really heating up. And I don't know if you saw some of the reports that were shared out there. We are getting reports from all over the country. This particular one you are seeing, this is Ughelli in Delta State. And they seem to have gathered, and the things are actually heating up there. This is Ibadan. Yes, this is Ibadan. Yeah, so all over the country, we have been hearing that in far away as Zamfara, there's serious protests ongoing. There's protests ongoing in Maiduguri. There was a video we shared earlier of a man running from some neighbor crowd. There actually was some kind of gunshots. This is Benin City. the whole thing seems to have gathered. I think this is King Square. I think, yeah. This is King Square. That's a Ring Road, not popular Ring Road in Benin City. In other places, let me share some more videos. This is Kano State. As you can see, these are our Almajiris. These are those little kids you normally see on the streets. They normally carry plates, and things seem to have hit up in Kano State. If you can recall what the governor said yesterday, Governor Abba Yusuf said he was in total support of the protest, that people could actually protest. I think that's against the press release that Kwankwaso released some days ago, where he said people shouldn't protest, but we should wait till about 4 years' time before they actually protest. This is Maiduguri. This is the young man you see that was running away from the protest. There was actually gunshot. That's why you see them kind of treating a bit from it. This is I couldn't really go where this is, but this is one of the southwest states, and the crowd seems to be so large. It's still gathering. This is about 12 past, just a few minutes past 12, and the momentum seems to be raging across the country or in all states, from what we've seen so far. Also have others. Okay, also have others from this is Lagos State. Yes, this is the man you saw. Most people have noticed there was a man that gave a press release on Twitter the other day. This is the man. He's out there on the streets, and so basically the momentum seems to be raging across the country, and the testers. See, the truth is, there's really anger across the nation going on right now. We saw a video about someone that was arrested. This is Kano State. Right now, this was even earlier on. I'm actually looking for a video of where a young man was arrested. The young man who was actually arrested wasn't arrested because he was a protester. He actually went into the protest crowd and tried to stab one of the protesters. In other words, like he was actually maybe paid to stop the crowd. So the police actually arrested him for trying to disrupt the protests. And so this is Port Harcourt. This was early this morning. I'm sure the crowd may have gathered much more than this was early this morning in Port Harcourt. So these are basically the reports so far from the crowds out there. So the momentum seems to be raging across the country, and beyond most people's expectations, this seems to have gone much more beyond what people expect, and may continue. I don't know, maybe the crowd may actually be multiplying across the country as we speak. So over to you, Mr. Emma.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kelvin, for the live updates on the ongoing protests across the country. Mr. Egbe Agbanifo, you raised your hand. Please turn on your camera and your microphone if you'd like to make it.
Yes. Yes, thank you very much. I'm going to turn on my camera.
Yeah, it would be nice to share your camera, sir. That's those two. Yes. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, very much, Mr. Emma. Thank you for that update. I was actually going to talk about that. The state is very important activity. I'm your road right now. This is usually a very busy road. What you can see is all empty. Right now, you have to click on your car or on your bike. Now, in all the threats that they try to put out to stop the threat, full protest. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is live updates coming to us from Edo State, Nigeria. The state of the protest, the ongoing protests. The streets are scanty in some parts of the state, while the protest is heating up in some other parts of the state. Of course, we've seen all of those videos from across the country, from Edo to Abuja to Kano. It has turned violent in some parts of the country. How can we? It's peaceful demonstration, right? But we've seen over the years how protests like these have turned violent. How can we avoid situations like this? Mr. Imo Jonathan, are you still there? Chief Showme, I think I'll have to come back to you again.
Oh, are you talking to me now?
Yeah, talking to you now. We've seen the
What's the
video.
question, please?
We've seen the live updates from all over the country, from Edo to Abuja to Kano to Port Harcourt. All of those updates, we've had reports of gunshots in some parts of the country. Over the years, we've seen this protest turn violent. We've seen it blow out of proportion. How can we avoid situations like this? How can we allow for peaceful demonstration? How do we avoid violence in situations like this, General?
We don't forget we are still growing with our democracy. So as we have been able to, we don't have a president that has a military background. So his own approach to how to resolve the issue like this will quite be different from the way Buhari will have handled it, because they don't have tolerance as a military guy. But I think Tinubu will handle it, or is handling it better without anybody being killed or being attacked. People who want to demonstrate will be given the place to do it according to the law. So as we grow in a situation where we let people who don't have military background as soldiers, we are likely to have it in a better way than the way we have it now, or that we had it before. We had a demonstration that many people have been killed when Buhari was president, or when Obasanjo was there. But with this new administration, the approach will probably be different, and we can grow with it as we mature in our democracy. It's about 25 or 20-something years now. You will know that Nigeria will be able to resolve issues better than the way we've been having it. But the most important thing is good governance. If we don't want to have a situation where people will be demonstrating or calling your government to order that is not doing that, you do the right thing. Like I said, the job of the president should not be mixed with the job of the local government. The federal government is doing too much or acquiring too much power that is making them unpopular. If you acquire too much power at the federal level, everybody will put their complaint on your doorstep. Instead of a situation where it's supposed to be attacked or attached to a local government chairman, you blame the president because the president is arrogating too much power. But like I said before, what the president needs to do is to focus on the security and energy structure and infrastructures, roads, like the other speaker said before. You have to prioritize the infrastructure. That coastal road is not, it may be good in the next 50 years, but that's not what we need now. All our federal roads are not good enough. They are not taken care of. And I'll give an example again. In Ogun State, the largest area where you have industries in Ogun State or in the Southwest, apart from Lagos, is Songwater. And you see the road between Ota and Abeokuta Road is a federal road. Today, it's almost a death trap. The federal government doesn't give it attention. Abeokuta to Ibadan Road is already deserted. You hardly can meet up to 10 vehicles on the road because people are afraid that they could be kidnapped on that road. I don't know whether you've been to Abeokuta in Nigeria. The road from Abeokuta to Ibadan is a federal road, but nobody is taking the road anymore. It's almost abandoned. The federal government needs to focus on the internal road first. Fix the road, the structures first. Infrastructure, fix it. Fix electricity, and then create state and city police. You see all these problems will just melt away. If everybody will now focus on their governor or on their local government on what they can do. There will be backward integration for people to go there, but you can't go to your village because it's not secured. So how can you farm if you are not secure, if you are afraid of being kidnapped or being killed? So that's the 3 areas primarily I would think the federal government should focus on. Tinubu has no business importing rice. It's not his job. His job is to make sure the farmers in Nigeria, they can grow enough. But the more he's bringing food from outside, the more he's destroying the economy. Because you make the farmers so weak, not strong enough to even go back to farm. So what do you do when they finish the bag of rice you import? You go to import again. You're going to import again. But remove all the encumbrances. So by the time you do all those areas, Nigeria will be better. Now, about the people demonstrating or being killed or anything, I don't think it's even the awareness created as putting enough jittery in the nerves of the government to address it. They know the whole world is watching. Whether you go to ask the soldiers to go out and kill or shoot anybody, they are watching them all over the world. So they have to be very careful too. And at the same time, people who are demonstrating, they have to understand that innocent seller who opened his store is not the person you have to take your vengeance on. Don't go and turn it to where you have to loot people's stores, shops, and everything. You are all in this business together, in this suffering together. The man that is opening store is trying to help his community with his little savings. If you destroy it, he may not recover for the rest of his life. So let's conduct the demonstration in a peaceful way, with respect for our neighbors or people who has graciously opened their store to sell. Don't destroy, don't rake, don't turn into hooliganism where you have to destroy because it's not solve the problem, or you end up destroying other people's lives in the essence of doing things. Not even the infrastructures of the government, like the railway line, the buses, anything, you destroy them. The second day, you now go to the bus station. After the strike, you don't have a bus to take because you have destroyed it. So we have to grow in such a way that we don't destroy things. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chief Showomi, for that wonderful contribution. We have been talking about the August 1 nationwide protests across the country and the implications of this protest for the country, for Nigeria moving forward. Would there be a paradigm change in terms of governance after this protest? Only time will tell. Of course, the floor is open for you to give us a report from your life, on your location. What is happening in your location? What's the situation report? What is going on exactly? In case you want to make a contribution or ask a question, the floor is open. All you have to do is turn on your microphone and of course your camera. Chief, Mr. Imo, Jonathan, you've seen the videos across the country. You've seen all of those live reports. What's your take on the situation of the protests across the country?
Well, so far so good. I'm glad we haven't had any of violence because that would have also been a justification for government to, conduct protest. So the important thing, like I said, the protest has actually a lot. At least, first thing is that government was able to shut it down, and the frantic yesterday people money, royal institutions, and including the very shameful Nigerian National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS. The current group of guys, they are very shameless. They disgrace the federation because a group, the student union, taking the responsibility. In fact, they were not the ones who did this. But unfortunately, some of the things they should have taken, it took care of her. Make sure nobody changed now because some of the obviously collected money. Now, this is, a boiling pot to let the go out. Now, governments have had their protests, and they have gone around. In this, they have some sense of achievement. We're able to let the government know we're happy. I pray it remains peaceful and everybody gets back to his home. The government knows that the enemy will try to stop the field. To future growth. Use that money. Use the money to invest in the people. Your subsidy, excess funds came in. I should have thought about that by Kolo saying, Mr. Show, that you would have focused on investing that on electricity. You don't have to wait for projects we've had over the years that are not succeeding. You can go to for all these turbines, 1 megawatt, 2 megawatts. In China, some of those machines lying there that Nigeria, we are flaring gas from Niger Delta. After on the street, but you go into your hotel room, there's shoots in the air. Disaster environmental issues going on because of gas flaring. And this is the gas to power our industry. How about if we have some local government as well gas turbines, mini turbines, 5 megawatts, use the money generated for removal of subsidy to bring these things, engage our local to work with this to create thousands of jobs. You will also make industrial, for example, in every local government, 5 megawatts industrial area. People who are producing, all of them will migrate towards that environment. So people improve all of those things. This is not rocket science. I don't see that thing going on in Nigeria. Every now and then, share rights. And I'm wondering, what do these people in government start do powers? As for a governor when he was going to run the 2020 election, we spent 8 months analyzing our states. Document yesterday, we used Google Earth. We traveled we identified abandoned infrastructure. We identified potentials in different areas. Today, for example, let's try to invest, but there are some of those things that were already in the works before he came. Then we knew what have comparative advantage over. We produced a financial to it. If you want to build this also of kilometer road, what is the quality of road that is going to be built? Green areas, you're going to have sidewalks, you're going to have street lights, you're going to have what's depth, what's the meter, what's the width, what's all of those things. If it's a state 1,000 kilometer road to reach every of the, you cost it and said per kilometer is going to cost 700 million or 500 million to accommodate green areas and all of those things with this traffic lights and everything. Then if you say 700 million, you ask yourself, how much in total would you require to build the whole state? And then is there any other cost-effective ways of doing it? You have identified those things, you now know, okay, you start from the known into which area start to dovetail this development to spread from people, the city centers to the inter areas. And what is going on? What are the people that need to be done from the inter community areas to improve agricultural productivity and commerce? All of these things, we have them on paper. I work with them, media aid advantages as a mobilizer. So when I see these people in government, for example, I paid some attention to what the young man in Burkina Faso is doing, the agricultural revolution is going on there, the health infrastructure put on, the emergency health infrastructures he has just started recently, mobile clinics, rooms for vaccines and everything to meet inter areas where the infrastructure cannot take, there are no rain on ground to mitigate the immediate circumstances and why they're building for long time. What are they doing? Sitting in Abuja, sleeping in trash, to steal money and hide them in power? Nothing. 40-something ministers, it looks like in power. What is their job? What is their job? So running Nigeria is not a rocket science. People make it look like it's a difficult problem. Break it into structures from local government to work, from one local government to state, from state to federal. What is the master plan for Nigeria's development? What are the infrastructures that need to be done? And what cost? Then you now to deploy resources. Your civil service of Nigeria is less than, the federal civil service is less than 1 million people. And the current expenditure is 72% around the country. Country that is growing at a rate of 3.8%. The population is beating GDP growth. What you have is just growth. It's not development. It's not structural growth. That is why even as Abuja, the new towns and areas that are growing, they are unmonitored. The buildings are going discriminate. People are already putting up or where they are designated as for public use. Then after 20 years, somebody will start breaking them down, destroying life. What are these people doing? Are they sleeping? About stealing money, just remove sources, make money for them. No more. I think we are doing this protest as a first measure. Not are doing this protest. I think it should be a first measure. And after now, the conversation will begin, because we are not just going to end it by just going on the street and coming back and we need to have discussions of policies. Like Mr. Showomi said, what expected performance, state government and communities who are part and parcel of this engagement. Now, looking at laws that have been passed, the Supreme Court the other day giving local government autonomy is a sham, because the critical factor giving local government independence starts with who does the local government. These governors simply sit down, appoint their crews, and then write the list and give to state independent electoral commission. That is why no state in Nigeria where opposition parties win local government or councillorship election, because the governors will just insist local government chairman, even if you get the allocation to him, you give him contracts to him. If it's a contract of 1 million, he will write. The governor will present a document, a company, go and steal the money back. And the EFCC, they are sleeping after small boys with laptops, making noise about that they are criminals and corrupt people. That is a shame. EFCC should go after these political marauders who are destroying the economy and also leading these people into internet fraud, because if they have hope, if they engage, if the intellectual processes are enhanced, they wouldn't have to engage. The idea in their head should find a positive expression, not a negative expression, but no ideas. Then they are looking at a position who was a billionaire. Then nobody cares about how he made it. They are looking for people who have defrauded us through contracts. Nobody is talking about them. Then you are going after your people. You are being hypocritical. So Nigeria is not a rocket science. In fact, the place of Nigeria that Ukraine or be an article. I once wrote an article solving the problem between the unemployment and the growth of Nigeria. But I don't think these people are listening.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Great Imo Jonathan. We've been talking about the state of the nation, the ongoing protests, and all of the breaking news from around the country. The Nigerian people are asking for good governance, improve their standard of living, and of course, make the country livable again. And we'll be bringing you live updates from across the country throughout the course of today. Check our social media handles. That's Rajitsu Media. We will be bringing all of the live updates. My colleague, Mr. Tochukwu Obamaka, will be taking over in a few minutes. Before he comes on, I want everyone to watch the ongoing, the live reports coming in from around the country. Okay.
All right. Okay. Before Tochukwu comes on, let me just give you some little updates on what's going on across the country. From what we gather, there seem to be some issues at Eagle Square. Let me play this video. I don't know if you have seen the video. All right, so update from Eagle Square say the police are trying to use tear gas to disperse people from Eagle Square, and so I think what must have happened is they didn't allow them to use the stadium, so the protesters got pissed off and angry, and they headed to Eagle Square. They seem to be police are trying to weigh them off by using tear gas and ballistas to weigh the protesters off, and so far that's the update we are getting so far on Eagle Square. The protests are still ongoing across the country, and we hope that I hope to give you more updates on goings on in the country. So let me pose this question to Mr. Great Imo Jonathan. Mr. Great Imo Jonathan, nice to have you here. I don't know, what do you think? It seems as if it's not business as usual, because the consensus right now is that okay, there is a video I'd love to show you. There is a video of a lady who came all the way from Zamfara. She held a baby. She's at Eagle Square. She said her husband was, that's the lady, if you can see. She said her husband was, let me go over what she wrote, okay, you can take us. According to the lady, she said, a nursing mother actually, she said her husband was killed by bandits in Katsina State. I came to protest the hardship in Nigeria. She actually came with her baby. I came to protest the hardship in Nigeria, and the police are shooting tear gas at us. Do they also want to kill my baby? People cannot eat. Things are hard. That's daring coming from a lady who came to the protest with a baby. What do you think about such a situation and the current trend we are seeing right now, Mr. Great Imo Jonathan?
Well, I think these Nigerian police needs reform, because they are Nigerian politicians. They are suffering from colonial mentality. They have this colonial master about governance. Every time there have been crisis and violence emanating from protests in Nigeria, the police security agencies have been the culprits. I'm saying this truth. What is Commissioner Police said, if we're talking the other day, there won't be protesting. And who is it? Because it's where he has been paid for by Nigerian citizens. The mindless characters that are creating violence, subjugating Nigerians, intimidating them, and creating this that have led to nowhere. If police have allowed them to use the stadium, would there be any crisis? If they were allowed them to use it, meanwhile, the was asking that they choose the education, and now they are stopping them from doing it. They're just spilling into the street and they're gassing them. And one person, I've had some of them social media that there won't be no peace. And creating situation that will lead to it. This was exactly what happened at Loki. It was so peaceful. Nigerian flag, making their demand in a certain location notable to everybody until the agents of darkness, bloodshed, invaded the uniform and shot people, and we are still denying it. But the violence that they brought upon this nation have not far from it. Why is the Nigerian police towing this same line again? Why do they want this peaceful protest to turn out a violent protest? They pass the fingers that want to cause crisis because they gaslight areas that they have they present us with anybody who was planning violence. If anything happens, will be held responsible. With a great man. Some of them that are doing it don't even have sense of reason that their families go through this thing. Because someone else can start at roundabout and stop vehicles and collect and fill their pockets with guns to them to scare Nigerians. And every time they are unleashing violence, they are doing as if they are capable of doing so much, but they pursue Boko Haram. Inside our forests, everywhere, there are foreign lands hiding in. They are unable to smoke them. They always show that they are capable of nothing. They should stop misbehaving and degrade this country, for God's sake. This should be peaceful protest. Nobody should be killed. Is gassing, right? And for what reason? So let people go and vent themselves and go back home. If there is anything what Nigerian police should do and other state agencies is to protect them, work with them. When they are tired, they go home. There will be peace.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Tochukwu, I think you're here. Over to you, Mr. Tochukwu. When I give some updates later. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone joining us. My name is Tochukwu Raphael Ogwabaka. For now, I am sitting for my colleague, Mr. Emmanuel. I have been listening to what the guests have been speaking. They have said quite well in this on this protest. Of course, the Nigerian people have the right to protest. That is mandated by law. Today is a great day for Nigerians. Nigerians have taken to the streets to express their grievances, to express how they feel about the government. But I have a question for Chief Shoumi, if you can hear me. You said earlier that President Bola Tinubu's policy of reopening the importation of rice and other staples is quite valueless and immaterial. Let me ask you this. You know that we have short-term and long-term solutions. Short-term and long-term solutions. Bola Tinubu's reopening of importation of basic goods, I think it's a short-term solution, because when you look at the efforts of our local farmers, you discover that they have been dwindling. They have been reducing because of insecurity. So that's why the president said, all right, let's open up what has been on hold since the time of President Buhari. Let importation of rice start again. And of course, there is no tariff on these things. So don't you think that that policy is a short-term solution? It will help to address the current one. It will help to stabilize the prices of these staples. Chief Showme.
Oh, you want me to respond to that? I agree with you. There's a short-term policy and a long-term solution. But every time you keep producing, you keep having the short-term solution without any long-term plan, then you go back to the same drawing board every time. What happened to the long-term plan of President Buhari to close the border so that we can have all this food, rice produced locally? What happened to them? You see that? At the times, they were showing us some kind of pyramids of rice in every part of the country that they've had enough to sustain Nigeria for a long time, whether they were lying or not. But they showed us some pyramids of rice that we saw. All of a sudden, after he left office, the prices of the rice went up, not because of we don't have the rice in the country. It's because the exchange rate also went up. The dollar to naira and everything moved up. So the problem is not just a one solution. It depends on the government. Like I said before, the government itself, the federal government needs to focus on three things. One, security, so that our farmers can go back to work. If you don't provide them with the security, even if you allow them to import rice, what happened when they finish eating what you have imported? You have to go back and import again. But if you have created this enabling ground for them to be able to plant and do whatever in every part of the country without any attack from the Fulani or whatever, and then what happened? Then we can sustain ourselves agriculturally at home. Number two, that was number one I talked, and I said, and the second one is on electricity. Now, our farmers don't have opportunity of preserving what they produce. The yams and everything, they get destroyed within few months or 1 year if they can't produce it. You know what happened? If we have electricity that they can store and preserve things, then we can sustain our agricultural produce. And the third one, the federal government should remove all the encumbrances that can stop us from having this thing done by starting with the state and city police. Our farmers must be secured than attempt to be in the farm. If you don't do all those things, it means you have to keep on importing because you never get to the solution of this thing. So until we learn to produce and eat and feed ourselves locally, we will always import. And importation has a lot of demerits on the values of our dollars. And if you keep on exporting and you keep devaluing, then the naira will be very weak. The economy will not be strong. A nation that wants to be strong must be ready to export. If you don't export, you cannot be strong. That is our problem. We depend solely on crude oil. And our crude oil, like I said in the beginning of this program, we are capable of producing 5 million barrels. But we mistakenly joined a cartel of OPEC that put us on 2.7. And by the time Buhari left and sold all the things away, but one thing that nobody has been able to tell us, they keep telling us that Buhari sold the oil in advance. For how many years? Nobody has been able to say the number of years because you were told by December last year, then that was it. Eventually, people are talking about 15 years now, or people just take advantage of it now and say, okay, let's just give them a run around until Buhari sold it, and they will keep doing whatever we want to do with it. I'm told now the last time we heard that Buhari left only 900,000 barrels of oil a day. That's what he left. Tinubu has gone into 1.6. But he should work towards getting to 3 million barrels, or even removing ourselves from OPEC. So that we can, because we didn't go to the OPEC, we didn't negotiate properly. with our population. We should have used our population to negotiate with what we need in terms of the barrels of crude oil that would have been allocated to us. We didn't. We allowed Saudi Arabia with 85 million population to produce more oil and sell more oil than us. Whereas we, with 225 million people, we're selling less, almost one quarter of what was given to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia was selling about 7 million barrels a day or 4 million. I can't remember the amount anymore. And we, that almost 2 times or 3 times the population of that country, it's another area that I was thinking we would have talked about. Is on the local government structure that we have in Nigeria here. To US 350 million population, they have 3,000, they have 3,142 local governments. And we have only 774 local governments. So you can imagine how we have not been able to bring the government to the grassroots of our people. So we need a situation where we can decentralize the government up to the grassroots. We need at least 2,000 local government structure in Nigeria to fit in with our 2.2 or 2.25 million population. So everything does not go around short-term solution, because that's what we've been doing since 1960, looking for short-term solution to our problem instead of looking for long-term. So we can import rice, open the border, people will eat. After 6 months, when our economy cannot sustain it, we close it again. But we have not succeeded in protecting the farmers to plant. We have not succeeded in protecting people to go back to the villages to take into agric or mechanized agric work. The little farmers that we have around, in particular in the south, they are the people still using their hoes and cutlasses. So we have to talk of mechanized farming at a large scale to feed 225 million people. Importing alone is not the solution. It may work for a few days. Even before the importation gets to Lagos or to everywhere, they're already taking advantage of it. People are already diverting it. You see the rice given by the federal government to some local government for free. They are rebagging it in some states. I think it's Gombe. I can't remember. I think I saw it in the newspaper. They are rebagging it and selling it to the public. So corruption is also there to contend with. So it's a lot. But like the right person said, temporary solution may be good for temporary reason. But without a company with long-term solution, we'll be back to square one. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much, Chief Showoni. And you talked about security. This brings me to the security of those protesting today. Of course, we heard, prior to this protest, we heard the IG, the chief of the police say that they had an intelligence that some people were planning to disrupt this protest. And of course, on Tuesday, we saw the Senate President visit the South region, I think Port Harcourt. And we saw prominent people of the South region like Dokuba Asare. We saw the statement he made. So he said, for example, that he did not want protest, that anyone who brought protest to the South region would be dealt with. Then in Lagos, we saw again traditionalists protesting. I mean, they are like countering the protest, saying that no one should protest in Lagos. So my question now is, why can't the security agencies see these statements made by these individuals as a threat to this protest? I mean, these are can potentially disrupt the protest. So to show me, what do you think about this thing?
Because the people, they are probably speaking from history of what happened in the past. That people take advantage of the protest and destroy the infrastructures of the society. And you find that in some areas of the state, people who are championing it in probably in Lagos or Port Harcourt, they are not originally from that place. Most of them came there to relocate there and start their business. Their state of origin are not originally from Lagos or from Port Harcourt. Because if you are from that area, why will it be your major concern to destroy the infrastructure of your area? You understand? So when they have the history of destroying the infrastructures, people are bound to suspect that they don't come with good intentions of just ordinarily demonstrating and living. No, that of Lagos State ENSA was an eye-opener, where Kanu was asking them by the video to burn every area down in Lagos. Burn everything down. And people responded. Yes?
You said who was asking somebody to burn the whole place?
Yes, there's a video of Kanu asking them to burn everything down. Yes, during the ENSA. And people were burning things down. Over 300 buses of BRT buses got burnt down in Lagos. Many people lost their lives and everything. So people are bound to suspect if there's another demonstration, whether it will turn other way. So they have a right to look for a way of discouraging people from doing it or destroying their property. So I don't blame them too. But the people who are going to demonstrate, do they have the assurance to tell them that it's going to be a peaceful demonstration, that it will not be hijacked, and to the extent that many people will lose their stores, destruction of so many of their properties? Some people may not recover for the rest of their lives because that's all they depend on. I can imagine somebody who has saved all his money to open a store somewhere in Isaac John or somewhere in Lagos, only for that store to be destroyed. He may not recover. He may have to go back to his village. So people who are discouraging them from joining, they have to be assured that the demonstrators will not resort to violence. If they have that assurance and they have a history of not causing trouble, everybody wants good governance for the society. But when it comes to a level that tomorrow you just wake up, you see all the BRT buses burnt down, even their new rail line, their bento line destroyed, then you now know that it's not what the people wanted. They want everything to be working for them, including having food on the table. So the organizers of those demonstrating all those things, they have to assure the society that they come with goodwill to demonstrate, participate, and then go home, so that nobody will hijack them. So the government itself, they have a right to send soldiers, police outside to make sure that nobody hijack the demonstration from the demonstrators. Others, before you realize it, many things would have happened that would not be in the interest of their good governance and their peaceful and coexistence in the society. So that's why they say the Lagos State people with what they call traditional something, they came out. Originally, the land belonged to them. And spiritually, they have the right to protect their land. And if you want to demonstrate there, go to an open field. Do it. Don't do it on the street where you have to take advantage of stealing from people's store or raiding people's location. Go to a school football field. Go there and do it there. Video it now. It's so easy now. Put it on a video and Abuja will be looking at demonstrators. But when you have to do it on the street, moving around the whole street, taking advantage, people running away helter-skelter, and opening people's stores and stealing from it, that's not demonstrating. That is even vandalism or proper stealing. And people who are doing that should be arrested and dealt with. That is the way I look at it. But to ask people not to discourage them, it's not something that both people discouraging and people doing it, they have equal right in law. You have a right to demonstrate, and the government or the people of the society also have a right to say, when you demonstrate, don't come to my area or stay within your lane. Everybody is protecting his own right within the society. So there's nothing wrong in it. So people who comes out like Goro, wearing white, like traditional something, protecting their spiritually, they have a right to protect their own inheritance, because they don't want anybody to just finish everything and got it burnt down. Like I told you, go and see that video of Nnamdi Kanu telling them, burn this down. And there are people who are saying, yeah, we have just done this. We just burned a police station. We are going for this one. And he was telling them to do that. And it's not good. So with that history behind, people are bound to suspect what is the primary intention. If it's against President Tinubu, go to Abuja and meet him there. You understand? Don't come and destroy the few infrastructures we have in Abeokuta or in Lagos or in Ibadan, in anywhere. Then we are still begging for more. But you turn it loose, you destroy it because of that something that they're not going to replace it for you. We are going to starve ourselves again to look for money to do it. You know how Lagos State has been planning to have their rail line since 1983, since Jakonde. They were trying to have it. These demonstrators, they can burn it down in one day. They don't care. So they have a right to protect and tell them, you can demonstrate, but don't come to this area because these are very primary to us. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Let's stress again the importance of peaceful demonstration. Yes, the protesters have the right to protest against bad governance, but those people staying at home also have the right to choose not to protest. So while people are protesting, they should have in mind that they should not constitute any kind of nuisance while in the course of their protest. We just watched a video where I don't know if it was a policeman flinging tear gas at some protesters, but there is no way the security agencies would attack protesters unless the protesters show any sign of aggression towards them. But let us also remember that there are bad eggs within the protesters. Of course, we just heard that there is another explosion in Maiduguri. There was a suicide bomb attack in Maiduguri, following the one that happened few weeks ago. So these are the things that we should be wary of while protesting. Chief Shomi, one of the demands of the protesters is to scrap the Senate. Can you hear me, Chief Shomi? Chief Shomi? All right. The protesters have several demands. They have several groups with their own demands. One of the demands of the protesters is to scrap the Senate and to give Nigeria a unicameralism. Of course, we know that Nigeria is bicameral. Nigeria has the Senate and the House of Representatives. But the protesters are saying that no, part of cutting the cost of governance is to scrap the Senate because they see the Senate as immaterial. They see the Senate as valueless, having nothing to offer, nothing tangible to offer to Nigeria. What do you think, Chief Shomi, about this demand? Shomi, can you hear me? And we are still talking about governance. Governance in Nigeria and the right of the people to protest. Today is the first day of August when the people of Nigeria have begun nationwide protests to protest against hunger, corruption, and all forms of bad governance. Of course, what spawned this protest was hunger. But when you look at the demands of the people, it seems that there are deeper things. There are deeper things the people are asking for. There are a wide range of demands. We have talked about the scrap of the Senate. There is also the abolition of the 1999 Constitution. And they are saying that there should be a revamp of the electoral process. Of course, we saw what happened in the 2023 election, despite the use of technology. We saw what happened. So, Nigerians want total overhaul of the polity. Nigerians want sanity in this polity. Chief Shomi, can you hear me? or if you have any contribution, anyone, the floor is open. Mr. Calvin, are you there? Can you hear me? You still have scenes of the protest, the civil demonstration you can share with us. Despite the threats coming from different quarters that this protest would not hold, we can see that it is gradually gaining momentum in many parts of Nigeria. Mr. Calvin, if you have photos, videos of the protest, share with us.
Gentlemen, you have to excuse me, please. I have to go. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Chief Jens. Thank you for the contribution you have made.
Thank you very much.
Reporting from Ibadan, Oyo State. With heavy security accompanying the protesters, it's a peaceful protest so far. And the popular bus stop is the end point for demonstration today, and everybody is migrating to the popular Agodi bus stop.
So far, so good. I think we have not.
Solidarity forever. Solidarity. Please, let me carry this to very well. You are always fight for our rights. There is victory for us. Struggle. There is victory for us. Backward, never.
àwọn ọmọ tuntun bí àṣẹ ìwọ̀n ní títà ṣe fúta àbára ìfọ́lẹ́ láti ní ibẹ̀ ìfẹ́. Wúwo bẹ́bí go. Ọmọ Nàìjíríà. Ọmọ ìfẹ́ ìgbàlá àgbàdo báyìí o.
With their own demands, different demands.
Reporting from Ibadan, Oyo State.
Now the protest goes on. Next.
With heavy security accompanying the protesters, it's a peaceful protest so far.
Let's have a recap.
And the popular bus stop is the.
Let's have a recap of 15 demands brought up by Mr. Omoyole Sowore. He said, the first one, scrap All right, let's have a recap of the 15-point demands brought up by Sowore Group. Number one, he said that Nigeria should scrap the 1999 Constitution and replace it with a people-made constitution for the Federal Republic of Nigeria through a sovereign national conference, immediately followed by a national referendum. We know that the 1999 Constitution is the present document governing the Nigerian state. And we also know that since 1999, this document has gone through so many amendments. So I do not know how feasible the scrap or the abolition of this document would be. But let us see other demands. Number two, they are asking that the Senate arm of government, the Senate arm of the National Assembly, be also abolished to make Nigeria a unicameral state in terms of lawmaking. So Nigeria currently has two chambers at the federal level. Nigeria has the federal, the Senate and the House of Representatives. The Senate, of course, is the upper arm of the National Assembly, while the House of Representatives is the lower house. But at the states, at the various subnational units, we also have a unicameral legislature, the House of Assembly. But the protesters are saying no, that part of cutting the cost of governance is to scrap this upper arm. They see it as elitist, as offering nothing meaningful to the Nigeria. So they see the lower house as more representative. So they are asking that the Nigerian constitution, having a bicameral nature, should be scrapped to make Nigeria a unicameral legislature. And number three, the Nigerian people are also asking, pay Nigerian workers a minimum wage of nothing less than 250 naira monthly. This demand was what NLC asked earlier, but later on, they found that the government was not cooperating with them, and therefore they succumbed to the 70,000 naira that the government was ready to offer. But here again, it's still popping up as one of the demands of the protesters, that Nigerian workers should receive as a minimum wage 250,000 naira monthly. Of course, Nigerian workers are very consequential. They are very important, because without the workers, we cannot produce anything. So that is another demand that the protesters are asking for. Thirdly, the fourth one is to invest heavily in education and give Nigerian students grants, not loans. Aggressively pursue free and compulsory education for children across Nigeria. Now, it is very sad that we have millions of Nigerians, especially in the northern part of the country, who are out of school. They are not going to school. Why? Education, as said by Nelson Mandela, is the most powerful weapon in which a nation can use, or any person can use to change the world. But look here in Nigeria, the standard of education has gone quite low. So the protesters, I think this demand is very important. Education should be the first thing that a nation should think about, because a nation that educates its citizens, that nation can never be defeated by anything. So I think this demand is quite valid and sound, that the Nigerian government should endeavor to scrap this kind of loans. The loans that they are giving Nigerian students now, I don't think it is valuable. They should give grants to students. They should make education compulsory and free at all levels, or even if not at all levels, but at the basic level, the primary level, the secondary level. Education should be made compulsory and free for all Nigerian students, for all children in Nigeria. So that is what they are demanding. Now, they are also demanding, the Nigerian people are also demanding that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, should be released. In this respect, we saw that Sunday Boho, who was initially canvassing or advocating for the Yoruba nation, he was arrested and released. Now, there was this man also in the north who was agitating for fighting against the government. He was, I've forgotten his name, he was arrested, but later he was released. Then Sowore in 2019, Omoyele Sowore called for a revolution, just as he is doing now. He called for a revolution in 2019, he was arrested, but released. So the demand that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu should be released, I think is only based on fairness. Even if I'm not saying that the process the young man might have been using, it could be justified. But what I'm saying is that based on this, based on fairness, based on justice, meted out to other individuals from other ethnic groups, I think it is only fair that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu should be released. Or if not, let him be tried. Let him be tried on a fair ground. So that is a demand. And there is also, the protesters are also saying that there should be a renationalization of publicly owned enterprises sold to government officials and cronies. Then they are asking also that for the reinstatement, to reinstate a corruption-free subsidy regime to reduce hunger. and starvation and multidimensional poverty. Number 8, they are asking that all the past and present Nigerian leaders who have looted the treasury recover their loot and deposited it in a special account to fund education, healthcare, and infrastructure. Number 9, restructuring of Nigeria to accommodate Nigeria's diversity, resource control, decentralization, and regional development. End banditry, terrorism, and violent crimes. Reform of security agencies to stop continuous human rights violations and duplication of security. Then they are also asking for the establishment of a special energy fund immediately to drive massive corruption-free power sector development. Immediate reconstruction of the Nigerian electoral body in Nigeria to remove corrupt individuals and partisan hands appointed to manipulate elections. What happened in the last election, 2023, was quite so sad for many people. And hence, the inclusion of this demand in the list of demands the agitators are asking from the Nigerian government. Massive investment in public works and industrialization will help employ Nigeria's teeming youth. There is another demand saying massive shakeup in the Nigerian judiciary to remove cabals of corrupt generations of judges and judicial officers that continue to deny everyday citizens access to real justice. And then the last one from Showore is saying that there should be diaspora voting. We have millions of people living in the diaspora. Many Nigerians are living in diaspora, but they cannot vote during the election period. So the protesters are asking that there should be diaspora voting in order that the result of any election held in Nigeria will represent the true population of the whole Nigeria, whether you are in the country Nigeria or you are elsewhere. So that is the demand. Now it is left for the government of Tinubu to know what demands to meet and what demands not to meet. What is feasible and what is not feasible, what is practical and what is not practical. We are still talking about governance in Nigeria and the right to protest. As day wears on, we will be bringing you updates regarding the civil demonstration in Nigeria. Today is August 1, the start of the nationwide protest. My name is Ochibrakalo Babaka, anchor na Diaspora Institute here, Oka, Anambra State. Have a nice day.
Okay, good afternoon. I believe you can hear me. Let's continue with the coverage of today's protest. Trying is basically to give an update on ongoing protests that are taking place along the country, and the latest we're having so far. Let me just give update of some of the protests we're having across the country. Right now, updates say the protest is actually gaining ground in the main city. While in Oyo State in Ibadan, all we hear is that a lady is leading residents in the hardship protest. The lady is actually leading residents in the hardship protest. Let's see. I'll get updates on that later. In Kano State, the protesters have actually got to they have reached the government house. They actually lit up a bonfire in front of the Kano State government house. Yes, that's the update we are getting from Kano. Protesters have lit up a bonfire in front of the government house. In Port Harcourt, the protesters have actually surged and they're actually on the move. Jigawa people have also joined the protests. Edo protests is actually ongoing with the youths actually singing the song by Idris Abdul Salami, Jaga Jaga song, if you can remember that. So in Kano, another update I'm getting about Kano is that the rioters have actually gone on rampage. They are looting furniture, mattresses, and other things at the hub of the National Communications Commission in Kano State. We'll provide updates on those ones later as it comes. Lagos State protesters actually defied court order and marched to governor's office. If you remember, the governor and stakeholders in Lagos have actually tried and threatened to stop these protests. They even declared the Oro Festival, if you remember, but protesters are having none of it. They defied the court order and they are actually marching to the governor's office. This is the words of one of the protesters in Abuja. He said, "Hunger brought me out. Hunger brought me out, and nothing can actually stop me." Yobe residents have actually also stormed the streets in protests. In large number, this protest is actually going on all over the country simultaneously, and this is unprecedented and has never happened before. So we're going to get you more updates on that later, and then I'll be sharing some more videos as we go on. Let's see. Okay. Okay, the video I share right now was when excuse me, the protesters were actually dispersed from, and they're not allowed to enter the National Stadium. So they got angry and went off to march down to the Eagle Square, which I believe they are there right now at the Eagle Square. So you can see that's protesters passing through that road at the back of Diplomatic Drive in Abuja, moving towards the Eagle Square. This actually happened some 1 or 2 hours ago. So yeah, this is Eagle Square. They tried to come towards the Eagle Square, so that was when a lot of calisters and tear gas were beginning to be thrown out at the protesters. What we are seeing right now is an update from Maraba in Abuja. Maraba is actually a suburb in Abuja that has one of the highest number of people living in Abuja. That is where most of them stay. Let's say about almost 60% of people stay in Abuja stay in Maraba, which is actually the edge of the Abuja border where it is with Nasarawa State. You can see they're actually trying to destroy some things. Maraba is having an unrest right now. As you can see, this is Lagos. So far, so good right now. The protest is still ongoing, and we'll continue to give you updates as the protests is ongoing. We are getting another update from Gombe State this time. What most of the people in Gombe State are actually saying is that we should bring back petrol subsidy. I'll be sharing that one later because of this. I'm going to share an iconic picture or photo of a lady protester in Oyo State who came to the protest with a pot and a spoon. She's actually signifying that the hunger actually brought her out into the protest. An elderly old lady. Let me post that. Let me share that. So that's it. The video you're seeing right now, this is Benin City, people gathered at Eagle Square to protest the ongoing end bad governance in Nigeria. And this, like I shared sometime earlier, this is Ughelli in Delta State, who actually came out en masse for the end governance protest. So we'll be giving more updates. I don't know if there's anybody in the comment section who has anything they want to say. All right, so if there is no one in the audience who has anything to say, we'll definitely be giving more updates on the ongoing protests. You can check our media handles, check our website for more updates on what's going on in the protests and around the country. Thank you.